Okay, Pete, we'll talk about rabbit snares. That's 22 gauge soft stainless steel. It's aviation lock wire. They use it on different parts that need to be locked in place. It's flat, it's soft, so it can handle being bent around without breaking. Like high tensile wire gets a kink, it breaks. This is really soft. So you make a snare, put a loop in it, not too big. You get it, about as big as your hand. That's what you want for a rabbit, about 4 inch. I like to go about 3.5 high and 4 inches wide. The whiskers are out the side, so. And load the snare. Like, this is something I didn't know as a kid. I'd just make a round loop. I'd still catch them, but I'm sure I would have caught more if I had loaded my snares. And loading the snare is giving it a memory, bending it small, and then putting a kink in it at the right spot. Anchor your snare in the run, whatever you're doing, and then when it bumps it, it's halfway there already. It's jumped onto him, and usually at that point he can't get out. He panics, he'll go forward and choke himself. That's one way. That's just tie wire. That's high tensile stuff, so you can put a better spring in high tensile. The downside to high tensile is, if it gets a kink in it, it'll break, but it'll work. The only way I know not to get a kink in is to put swivel in the line or rope, cordage, because it'll take the twist. Whereas if it's just all wire all the way, it'll end up getting a kink and he'll snap it. But that's two different ways. Placing the snares, that's the important part. Unless it's a hole under a fence or something and you know for sure he's coming through there, there's a lot in it. If it's going under a tight hole under a fence or a tight hole, it's set the snare 2 fingers above. You just want his feet to go under, and because he's ducking, his feet will go under and his head will go through. But if it's in a run, just in an open grassland, this is what most people don't even put snares there, but they're quite effective. You'll see a run and you'll see these flat spots. That's the rabbit doesn't keep a steady pace. If you set that 2 inches off the ground, a good chance he'll land on top of it, because there's only certain parts in his gait where he's at that rate. So you've got to find where he lands. He'll land the same spot every time along the run. So you'll find where his back legs spring off from and his front legs land. So if you put that just a head's length before where he lands, you'll get him. If you put it midway, you'll miss him. If you put it midway, you put it a hand high, 7 inches off the ground. Because in his middle of his gait, his head is that's where it'll be, right there, bang. So there's a lot in it, you can say, show me snares, and there's 101 ways to do it. And it takes a lifetime to sort of learn most of it, but you can learn a few basics anyway. But yeah, loading your snare's got kinks in it when you first pull it out of the packet. Put it around a tree branch, a round one, like not too round, twice as round as a broomstick, and pull it back and forth. You'll get the memory of the wire just nice. And then set your snare, load it, put it back to its position, and you're laughing. Another trick too, sometimes they'll keep breaking you off. If you go heavier wire, they won't go through it, and that wire just won't hold them. So what you do is you make a drag, something about 3 times heavy as the rabbit, a log, something, tie your snare to that. So when he hooks up on it, he can drag it, but he won't go far. He'll drag around through the bush, but he'll burn his energy out before he breaks your snare. That's a drag, what they call a drag. That'll help you a bit anyway.